Hi everyone, it's Danny. In this video, I will try to answer a question that was posted on one of my videos. And the viewer asked, how do I explain that most orchids prefer to be in small pots bounded? Now, I answered that it's an excellent question, but I will answer this in a video because it is just so fun. And I can't really explain it in one comment. Okay, so I think this statement is also true and false. And I'll give you 3 reasons for why I think this. Number 1, the roots of an orchid like to cling to stuff. It's not that they like to be crowded. Just imagine orchids that are mounted, or they're up in the trees. Nothing is actually containing them. But orchids that are mounted tend to do much better than orchids that are in pots. And this is because roots actually cling to stuff. And sometimes you can actually see the small little hairs forming. Now you will say, well, yeah, but they actually cling to the bark in a pot, which is totally untrue. Have you ever pulled out an orchid from its pot? If the roots would cling to the bark, you would find them full of tiny little bark pieces. But you actually don't. You can find 1 or 2 bark pieces on the roots, but that's it. What they actually cling to is the actual pot. And maybe in plastic pots it's really not so visible because plastic is just so smooth that if you squeeze the pot gently, they come right off. But for you guys who grow your orchids in clay pots, I think you know how much they cling to the pot because it tends to be more porous. So the number 1 reason why orchids like to have small pots is because the flat surface of the pot is a great surface to cling on, so they feel safe. Okay, the second reason why they like to be in small pots is because orchids are very smart plants. Now, don't think I'm a nutcase who thinks they actually have a brain and feelings. No, but millions of years of evolution tend to give you the edge when it comes to adapting. Okay, I'm gonna give you a small scenario. Imagine an orchid that fell out of the tree on the forest floor. And the roots will not cling to anything. She will know that something's wrong. So she will know that no pollinator will come on the forest floor among bushes and everything to pollinate it. So she will desperately give all her energy to extend her roots and figure out where exactly she is. Because why the heck would you put energy into flowers and new shoots, new babies, when you are not in your proper environment and you know that you have minimal chances of survival and propagation. Now, let's try to put this in our context. Imagine an orchid with tiny little roots in a huge pot. First of all, she will try to figure out where she is. She will extend her roots and divert all her energy into those roots until they grow and feel secure and attached to something. Now, it's easy to understand that orchid will definitely not bloom for a lot of time. And there are some cases when the orchid will think it's actually on the bottom floor, so it will stop growing altogether and can actually die. There have been cases. So, this is the second reason why you shouldn't overpot your orchids. Now, the third reason would be that the bigger the pot, the slower it will dry out. So imagine you have a tiny little orchid with a tiny little root system in a huge pot. Now those roots will not be able to absorb all the moisture so fast, and they will end up staying in moist conditions more than they should, especially in the core, and especially if you don't have any ventilation holes. So it is much safer to pot them in a smaller pot adapted to their root system rather than a large pot. Okay, so dear viewer, thank you for the question. It was an excellent question, and when I read it, I instantly smiled because all these ideas came into my mind in like a split second, because I've never actually asked myself this question out loud, and I didn't even know I knew the answer, or at least my logic about the subject. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and don't be afraid to leave me any questions. I absolutely love logic games, and I hope you found this helpful. Thanks for watching again, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye!